Product Acceptability of Knife Fish Patties, authored by Donna Fresnosa Edra, and the presenters of the thesis is Mary Rose Bandong Pascual and Venice Pontevedra Reyes. Introduction. Food is important to support our body. It makes our body grow, work, and maintain all body processes. It can be defined as edible substance that is used to provide nutritional support for the body. As compared to food grains, milks, eggs, edible fungi, and other foods, fish production has increased at a higher rate, according to Sean 2014. Fish meat is a good substitute for chicken, pork, or beef, and it is easy to accept by consumers because it is much affordable than chicken, pork, or beef. This acceptability study used knife fish as a raw on it is fish processing and in making patties, also known as burger patties. Fish processing involves the application of preservation techniques in order to retain quality and increase shelf life. It also deals with value adding to produce a wide variety of products. The first and most obvious handling technique for preserving the quality of fish is to keep them alive for as long as possible before processing. Fish is consumed as a food and it has been an important source of protein and other nutrients for humans. Knife fish meat is a good raw material for value adding because it is white, firm, and can be easy to remove from the skin, according to Dinapo 2013. Statement of the problem. The main concern of the study is to determine the product acceptability of knife fish patties. The researcher would like to answer the following questions. What is the demographic profile of respondents? What is the respondents' familiarity with knife fish patties? What is the consumer purchase and consumption behavior regarding knife fish patties? What is the level of acceptability of knife fish patties? What treatment will be the most acceptable? And last, is there significant difference between the level of acceptability of the treatment in terms of color, taste, texture, and general acceptability?
Research methodology. This chapter presents and explains the method used in the study. It includes research design, setting of study, resources of data, procedure of the study, data gathering procedure, and analysis of data, ES of data. Research design. The research used the experimental method as the research design for this study. It utilized a questionnaire checklist for evaluation to determine a product acceptability of different treatments of knife fish patty in terms of color, taste, texture, aroma, and general acceptability. Setting of the study. The study focused on making knife fish patty instead of pork or beef patties. The study was conducted in El Sinilan, Laguna, and in selected areas of Pangil, Laguna. This research study used purposive sampling techniques. It involves 123 respondents composed of 40 males and 83 females able to determine the product acceptability of knife fish patty.
Sampling process. The first method was purposive survey. The researcher had to look for the respondents who were available for this research study. The second method was interview schedule. The researcher conducted to determine the demographic profile of the respondents' familiarity with knife fish patties, consumers' purchase and consumption behavior regarding knife fish, level of acceptability of knife fish patties, the most acceptable treatment, the significant difference between the general acceptability in terms of the profile of the respondents with the help of formulation of the questionnaire, and the significant difference between the level of acceptability of the treatment in terms of color, taste, texture, aroma, and general acceptability. Sources of data. The researcher used English questionnaire for the interview to gather information. The questionnaire has 4 parts. The first part consists of the demographic profile of the respondent, which includes name, age, and gender. The second part consists of the familiarity with the knife fish patties of the respondent. The third part consists of the purchase and consumption behavior regarding knife fish patties. And the fourth part consists of level of acceptability, which includes the different treatment of knife fish patties in terms of color, taste, texture, aroma, and general acceptability. The acceptability measures by putting check mark on the appropriate treatment.
Procedure of the study. The researcher made knife fish patty for the product testing and for interview. The knife fish needed for knife fish patty was obtained directly from Pangil, Laguna. Questionnaires were given to the respondents for answering questions used the study.
The analysis of data. The study analyzed using the following statistical treatment in the following problem for the analysis of data. Problem number 1. Profile of the respondents. The statistical tools is frequency and percentage. Number 2. Respondents' familiarity with knife fish patties. The statistical tools is frequency and percentage. The problem number 3 is consumer purchase consumption behavior regarding knife fish patties. The statistical tools is frequency and percentage. Number 4. Level of acceptability of knife fish patties. The statistical tools is weighted mean and verbal interpretation. Number 5. Most acceptable treatment. The statistical tools is weighted mean and verbal interpretation. Number 6. Significant difference between the level of acceptability in treatments in terms of color, taste, texture, aroma, and general acceptability. The statistical tools is weighted mean and median. Results and discussion. In view with the result and discussions presented in the previous chapter, the researcher found that in terms of demographic profile of the respondents, the result shows that majority of the respondents are female and in the age between 14 to 23 years old. In terms of respondents' familiarity with knife fish patties, majority of the respondents were not familiar with knife fish and knife fish patties. In terms of consumer purchase and consumption behavior regarding knife fish patties, 100% of the respondents are willing to try knife fish patties. Even most of them are not familiar with knife fish and knife fish patties. It results that majority of the respondents like the taste of knife fish patties and it will consume 1 to 2 times a week. Most of the respondents will buy knife fish patties in treatment 1 and 2 at 15 pesos to 25 pesos, and most of the respondents will buy at the 26 pesos to 35 pesos. Majority of the respondents likes the packaging and branding. In treatment 3 of the respondents are willing to try knife fish patties. 118 95.93% of the respondents likes the taste and 4.7% likes the aroma of the different treatments of knife fish patties.
Conclusion. Based on the result of the study, it is concluded that majority of the respondents are willing to try knife fish patties, meaning they are not afraid to try new product made for acceptability tests, even they are not 100% familiar with the main ingredients, which is knife fish.
Recommendation. Based on the study findings, the researcher recommends the following. Improvement of knife fish patties on its texture and shelf life. To young entrepreneurs, knife fish patties could be feasible to the market because it is acceptable and affordable based on this study. Products should be tested or examined to food laboratory for safety purposes. Knife fish patties should be commercialized to the age of 14 to 23 years old. Critique. The study attempted to present and analyze the product acceptability of knife fish patties. Specifically, the objectives of the study is to determine the demographic profile of the respondents, to determine the respondents' of familiarity with knife fish patties, to determine the consumer purchase and consumption behavior regarding knife fish patties. The limitation of the study, based on the level of acceptability of knife fish patties, shows that the knife fish patties control with mushroom is highly acceptable in terms of color, taste, texture, aroma, and general acceptability. Based on the result of the study, it is concluded the majority of the respondents are willing to try knife fish patties, meaning they are not afraid to try new products made for acceptability tests, even they are not 100% familiar with the main ingredient, which is knife fish. The researcher recommends that the product needs to have an improvement to its texture and shelf life. To young entrepreneurs, knife fish patties could be feasible to the market because it is acceptable and affordable. Knife fish is one of the exotic fish for other people, as it is not commonly seen in markets. Knife fish is said to be one of the problems in the Philippines because it is eaten by other fish that we usually eat. This research by Donna Fresnel Saedra to show that knife fish is one of the patties that can be made. A knife fish patty, she did research for it and she made patties similar to what we usually see and eat, just like pork and patties and so on. But the patties made by Donna Fresnel Saedra are made with knife fish meat. Many respondents were in favor of knife fish patties, willing to try a new product of patties.